People believe whatever they see online. They don't think about it, right? They're just conditioned to just believe that if it's there, it's real. And the fact of the matter is that means your job just got a little bit harder because you've got to be out there louder than everybody else to inform your people about what's really happening in the market. Are we good so far? I promise we'll get to some better news in a second. But I just want to set the stage like this year is going to be the same as last year. So let me ask really quickly, how many people had what they would consider a good year last year? Okay? How many people had a decent year last year? And how many people were not happy with their production last year? All right. So a little bit of all three, right? Which is very typical. Really, really typical. So here's what we know. We know the market's not going to change significantly, which means then we need to change in order to adapt to the what? Market. So that's what we're going to talk about. Now, how many people drove here this morning? Good. Okay. You'd be surprised I asked that one time and somebody walked. Which is fascinating because I don't know how you show clients when you're walking, but things happen, right? So we all drove here. What is this a picture of? It's not a trick question.
Right.
What's behind
Rear
us?
view
It's a rear view mirror, right? So which is bigger, your windshield or the rear view mirror?
Windshield.
Why?
Moving forward.
Because that's the direction we're going. We're moving forward. That's right. Here's the problem, though. A lot of agents live their life looking in what? This is why people in real estate have their high school picture on their card 30 years later. Because they're living the glory days. They're remembering what it was like to look like that. And you get their card and you meet them and you have no idea you're talking to the same person. You all laugh because you know exactly what I'm talking about and don't point to anybody in the room. But the truth is we live in, how many people saw Napoleon Dynamite? Anybody?
Okay.
That's what we call the Uncle Rico effect. They're always thinking about how it used to be. They're always thinking about what would have been if this would have happened. They're always thinking about the glory days. And what do we know that means for you and your business? What if you're living looking in the past? What does that mean for your future? It's pretty bleak. It's not going to turn out that well. So we know a lot of people are looking in the rearview mirror while they're trying to go forward, which just means you're going to crash. So the windshield's bigger for a reason. So we need to look forward and ahead to see what's happening. Now, 2021, 2022, even parts of 2023 for the country, we had this. And it's the saying of a high tide floats all ships. Here's what's fascinating. If you think back to this time, there were morons who thought they were masters during this time. Yes or yes?
Yeah.
They thought they were incredible. And COVID happened, so they thought, well, you know what? I might as well get into real estate because all you guys do is play golf and go have coffee, right? It's pretty easy. And then 71% of them did what last year? Nothing. So the high tide floats all boats. Mediocre people thought they were masters. The problem was they believed themselves. And then all of a sudden, what happened about a year ago? The tide went out. And then all of a sudden, we had a bunch of ships aground. How many people know who Warren Buffett is? There's a famous saying. He said, you're going to find out who's skinny dipping when the tide goes out. And I don't know if you've seen it, but the last couple of years, there's a lot of naked agents running around. It's not a pretty picture. They have no idea what to do. 71% of them had no transactions last year. How many of you think this is a really expensive hobby if you're not closing deals? Yeah. 71% of your peers didn't do a deal last year. That's significant. Now, we can focus on that being really terrible and woe is me, or we can choose to see that as what? I'm done. I don't even need to talk anymore.
Oh, no.
Opportunity, that's right. Because it's all in what we what?
Focus on.
It's all in what we focus on. Here's what I see when this happens, because I've been in this 21 years. I'm an agent and broker just like you. Carry the bag. I do this on a regular basis. I'm traveling, so I refer stuff. But I do what you do. Like, I know what this is. And what I've seen every single time, I think back to like 2008. Anybody in the market at that point in time? I was running brokerages, watching my agents' cars get repossessed in the parking lot. Look, for anybody that says this is a bad market, I'm like, you haven't seen a bad market. This is a great market. You just have to actually work for it in this market. You've got to be strategic in this market, but don't tell me this is a bad market. You've not seen a bad market. I've seen the market. I've seen agents lose their houses. I've seen marriages split up. Like, that's a bad market. This isn't a bad market. This is a normal market. But think about perspective. When we said perspective is reality, if people got in right after COVID, they came in at what rates? What were the rates doing then?
2%.
A 3% was a ripoff. Yeah?
Yeah.
Like that's their baseline. That's what they thought was what? Normal. You were a buyer's agent writing contracts. You were competing with 10 to 13 other people writing for tens of thousands above with escalation, hoping you could get in line and get the deal. Yes or yes?
Yes.
That was normal. So think about that person who came in with those rates, that pace, and then all of a sudden this happens. Would you be freaking out too? You'd be losing your mind. Like, what happened? This is different. This is not the same. And it's not. Here's what I know. Remax. How many people know that we outproduce competition 2-1? Anybody know that stat? Can I share something with you if you promise not to tell anybody? Because I'm not supposed to share this yet. Or do you promise?
No, promise.
Alright, we'll skip it. Okay, next. Okay, I'm just joking, I'll tell you. But you can't tell anybody yet, it's not been released. So not only did we garner that 2-1 again from the reports that just got released, the gap or the margin increased. So in a market that's doing this, by unit count, what's Remax doing? Production going up. Here's what I want you to understand. If you're taking notes, you're built for this market. This is your market. Like, this is why when this happens, I get excited. And people think I'm strange, which I probably am a little bit because I like driving a fleet. I like this market because this starts separating the wheat from the chaff. We start getting rid of the 71% that aren't going to do it anyway. They're the hobbyists. They're the ones taking up the time. Because ultimately, what do we know about those people? If you're not doing transactions, how good are you at this business? You're not good. And what does that mean for customer service? Like, I love this market because what does it do for customer service? It elevates it in a significant way because it's driving production back to you all who do really good transaction and production. But again, if I'm not careful, just like you, I can look at this happening and get sucked right into the conversation about how bad it is. See, I can't sell anything because there's no inventory. I can't sell anything because, man, rates are 7%. Just going to have to sit and wait for them to get down to 3.
Well, I saw that slide yesterday, said it was romantic. She's stuck. With no hope.
Yeah.
He said, oh my gosh, it's been 30-something years.
After 30 years, that's just glutton for punishment.
That's it.
Okay, so how many people know an agent like this that is still stuck and doesn't know what to do? They're running around and they're not sure what to do. How many people know somebody in this room like that? Don't point. Here's my bet. My bet is somebody in this room is feeling this. And what I want you to see is it's perfectly okay to feel the feel. It's not okay to stay there. It's okay to respond. It's not okay to react, which we're going to talk more about. So I'm going to share with you some slides. You're going to get these. So don't worry about trying to take a picture and write stuff down. Just like absorb what's here, and I'll get these to Kim, and she'll get these out to you all. So a couple things. First, home price appreciation. Zillow just came out and revised their home price appreciation index to 0.8% increase for this year, which statistically, again, what does that mean? Essentially 0, flat. Now, some people hear that, and what do they automatically go to? Positive or negative?
It's kind of, might feel negative because we're used to seeing such growth, and so just flat seems dead.
Correct. It's easy to go automatically negative when I hear no price appreciation. See, market sucks. That's why I can't get listings. Like, we're always trying to find excuses, right? Here's what this actually means. What did we know home price appreciation, like here locally, what did home price appreciation do post-COVID? It was insanity, yes or yes?
Yeah.
Every market I go to, home price appreciation at that point was crazy. Is that sustainable?
No.
If we carried on down that path, we were inevitably going to get to the edge of a cliff. And what happens when you go over a cliff? You crash. Do you see how this works? Now, I asked the group yesterday, this is the truth. I grew up on boats. How many people have ever driven a boat before? Not a trick question. Okay, so if you're driving a speedboat and you turn and you take your hand off the wheel, what does a good boat do? It comes right back to center. The real estate market does the exact same thing when we allow it to. That's what's happening here. Now here's what we know is the problem. Politicians think they're smarter than the market, and so both sides try to monkey with it, and it kicks the can down the road, and then it causes a bigger issue. This is not a political statement, this is economics. You watch it happen. If we just take our hands off, the market will always come back to true, which is what you're seeing now. Now here's what I want you to also be really careful about. How many of you follow social media gurus, quote unquote, online, and they're talking about statistics and what the market's doing in projections? Anybody? Liars. You're all seeing it online. You all see it online. Here's what I want you to understand. This chart, if you ignored the dates, looks fairly significant. Looks like it could be a long period of time, but when you actually look at the dates, that's not even what?
A year.
That's not even 18 months, that's 12 months. So here's what I want you to understand. It's really easy to go online and find charts and graphs that make it appear that we are in a worse spot than we are. Your job is to find the perspective in the context. Because when we zoom out, we see the real story. Here's home prices going back. This is only to January of 2019. Does that tell a little bit different story than the first slide I showed you? This is only going back to 2019, but look what happens. Look what's happening in the market. What do you see? We're leveling off, we're stabilizing, we're getting right back to where we should be. Nationally speaking, a sustainable home price appreciation level is 3 to 4% the last 50 years. That's our statistical sustainable appreciation rate. Some markets more, some less, but nationally speaking, that's the average. This, post-COVID, is not what? Normal. It's not normal, it's not sustainable, but if somebody gets into the market here as an agent, what do they expect is the norm? It's all perspective. So data is really good. Numbers, I don't love them by themselves, but they all tell a story, which is really valuable, but you have to have perspective, proper perspective, to know what story they're telling. We good so far? Okay. Here's the next one.
Oh, those mortgage people.
No, Steve's
Come on, man. You set policy, come on, and raise.
Just like you all set prices.
All right, so Steve, question for you. And don't go any more than I'm going to ask you a couple, because you know you're going to know where I'm going here. How many agents that you work with understand what actually impacts mortgage rates?
Very few.
Shock. So I've told Lee this. I won't say what group to protect the innocent, but it was a big group. There were 300 to 400 people in the room, and I asked them from the stage. I said, "Great. How many people here understand what impacts mortgage rates?" I'm dealing with a bunch of real estate agents. God love you, I'm one too. There's a lot of ego in the room. So guess what they all did? Oh yeah, I got this one. I know this one. All the hands. I said, great. Can somebody come up here and explain really quickly and tell us? This person comes right up, just the Fed raises rates, then our rates go up. The Fed lowers rates, our rates go down. And I'm like, wah, wah. But guess what? That's what most agents think, because they don't do the work to understand the basics of how this actually is all connected. What happened last year a couple times when the Fed lowered the Fed rate? What happened to our interest rates? They are not connected in a direct way. The 10-year treasury is what you should be watching to know what's going to happen to rates. The Fed rate is simply the charge for money to banks. But again, I'm not saying you need to be Steve. You don't need to even dress like Steve. Although you look really sharp.
Look at that. Sexy. Bring sexy back.
Here's what I'm betting.
Is the heat on me?
Yeah. Here's what I'm betting though, Steve. I'm betting that if you had agents that had at least a basic understanding of how mortgage rates were impacted, that would make your job easier with the clients.
No.
Tell me more.
You gotta build a relationship. It's not about the rates and the numbers and the price point. It's just build a relationship.
Let's start to hear the violins. Come on.
Listen
The other hand, the child was getting married, and that was it.
So he was talking. A&B. Stay away out.
He can't help it. He can't help it. Okay, but Steve, here's what I know. Here's what I know. I know that if agents could be a generalist in terms of understanding basics of mortgage and then send to you as the specialist, the clients would have a better experience, better understanding, and less disappointment.
For sure. Yeah.
Because here's what I hear, and it terrifies me when we're in rooms, is agents making promises or giving advice about rates, about waiting or going now, when they don't even understand what the basis of the advice they're giving is about. Like, that's a problem. So here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying go be Steve. I'm not saying become a lender. I'm not saying go get your mortgage. I'm not saying any of that. What I am saying is have a basic understanding so that you can partner with somebody like Steve to give best service and best experience to your client. That's what I am saying. Now, there's an app I'm going to tell you to download. How many people have Mortgage News Daily on their phone? Yeah. Okay, write that down. You all need it. Mortgage News Daily. It's an app. It's free. Now, again, I look at this every single morning, not because I am a loan officer. I am not. But I look at it every morning to know what is happening with rates in that split second in the day. And at the bottom of the app, you can see, based on today's news in the markets, what is likely the impact. There you go. What's likely the impact on rates tomorrow? I don't need to be the expert. I just need to give a range. But if clients say, what are rates today? I need to have a pretty darn good idea of saying, well, a conventional 30-year is around this. Here's what we also know, though. A lot of agents believe the 30-year conventional is the only option. And let me tell you, that is a huge problem in our industry. You're going to lose buyer deals that could have been really good for the buyers if you don't understand what's available in terms of programs. Again, you don't have to be able to explain all of them. But you need to know what options may be out there, and you need to have a strong partnership with the lenders so that you can find them the best product for them. And I think Steve might be open to partnerships.
I think I'm open. Very open. Like a book.
Okay, here's the good news though. So rates are going down faster than they were projected. So we were talking about this yesterday. We were doing a broadcast from the studio in Denver. We hadn't gone live on air, but we had our earpiece in. We're looking at all the stats, so I'm getting ready to hit the live button. And we were doing projections, slides just like this. And they were looking at Fannie and Freddie. And guess who always, on a projection standpoint, is always Pollyanna, who's always saying rates are going to be lower than they actually are. Which group? It's the one you pay dues to. NAR. So we're looking at this and they're like, rates are going to be in the 5s by the end of the year. I'm like, bull, not happening. But guess what? They want to sell good news because that means more people will join. So again, perspective's everything. If we know that, we kind of just pretend we don't see what NAR says on rates. All of them, though, were saying in the 6s. And so we get on here, but they all said 6.5 wouldn't happen until the end of this year. Well, guess what? We've been dipping down into 6.5 already this year at this time. Now, yesterday was 6.71. Like, it bounces around a little bit. The point being, they're declining faster than they were projected to. Is that good news? Say yes. That's really good news. And is 6.7 still a good rate? Say yes.
Yes.
Well, it's good news unless they say, well, they wanted to drop into the 5s.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what they're waiting on.
100%. And then the answer, we just talked about this yesterday too, then the answer is, hey, you know what, I can appreciate that. Here's what I don't know is how many years that'll take.
Correct.
And oh, by the way, I'm going to be in business in a couple years too, so I'm good either way.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many years that's going to take. Are you okay waiting as many years as it takes for that to happen? And if the answer is yes, then cool.
And that is the answer, because people have that, and you see it, but we all see it. Oh, I'm waiting for it to go back in.
Mhm.
Oh, we're gonna get it into 3s.
Well, there's gotta be some realistic, I think that's what happened.
Not for some of them.
Well, and that's in those other people. Ron was always available.
And they don't take into account the fact of how much the property is going to increase with the
Well, he's got,
depreciation.
and you've got a slide for something like that, but you're
Correct.
exactly right.
Yes.
And it'll cost them more.
I
Yes.
love the way you think.
Yeah, she looked at my notes. I'm just joking. You're absolutely right, because look at this next slide.
Yeah.
So this is something we used to use a lot back when I first started the business 20 years ago. We used to use this a lot because rates were a lot higher then. Now what this does, I want you to understand adults and adult learners learn best through visual application. So concepts, a lot of numbers for a lot of people. It's not that they're not intelligent, but they just have a hard time connecting the dots and seeing how it correlates. We were taught to use this 20 years ago to show them the correlation between an interest rate and buying power. Now here's why this is significant. To Steve's point, I want to wait until rates are in the 5s. Great. Oh, by the way, our home price is going down right now in your area? Interesting. So if home prices remain high, what does that do to your buying power? Significantly shrinks what kind of property you can afford. And I don't know about you all, but finding property under $300,000 in my market is impossible. Unless it's a single wide that has wheels still. Like, it's just not going to happen. That's not the market we're in. But again, like this, that's really easy to say, but when you can show people, it's completely different. So I want you to think about what kinds of tools like this could you use for those scenarios, because we know those conversations are going to happen. You know you're going to have a conversation with a buyer this year at some point that says, I'm going to wait for rates to go down. I'm going to wait for the market to crash. If we already know what they're going to say, wouldn't it be prudent to just prepare for it? Like to have a plan? Like that's what we're going to be talking about the balance of our time this morning here is what should you be doing to prepare yourself and be equipped for the market. Now again, we talked about proper perspective. Interest rates. My parents bought their first house in 1979. They had A+ credit. Their interest rate was 18% and they had to take a silent second from the builder to be able to get the house. So perspective, when my parents hear rates are 6.7, what do you think their perspective is on 6.7?
Wow.
Like, these are fantastic rates.
Lock me in.
Fantastic rates. Now don't get me wrong. My rate on the house we bought 4 years ago, guess what it's at? 2 3/4. You're carrying me out feet first from that house. I'm not giving up that rate until that sucker's paid off. I get it. At the same time, that ship has sailed. So we need to help them with proper perspective. 6% rates are very good rates. But how are you speaking about 6% rates? How are you talking about it with your clients? Are you giving them the perspective of what 6% means in the last 50 years? Because without that perspective, these people won't know. And with the proper perspective, I've seen a lot of people decide, okay, all right, cool. That makes sense. Move forward. Now, here's what's interesting. They did a poll, HomeLight did. Agents that were polled said 27% of their first-time buyers requested mortgage rate buydowns. Now, there's a couple things that were interesting about this to me that I want to point out. First-time home buyers. How many people are working with them right now? How many of you know that the majority of them are on the sidelines right now? So if you don't have a plan for how to best work with first-time home buyers, you're going to be left behind. You're going to miss a huge segment of the market because guess what? First-time home buyer demand has not gone down. They've just been put on pause for a while because pricing and rates. At some point, the rates are going to drop or pricing is going to, something will change. And it's not going to be a crash. Something will give a little bit to where they can start coming in. But what happens if you're the agent that finds pathways for first-time home buyers to buy in this market based on different loan products and different strategies like a rate buydown as a part of negotiation? Here's what I see though. There were so many agents that got into the market so recently, they're in a box. They think 30-year products are all that there are. When I first started, rate buydowns were a normal thing that we would ask for. Anybody else? I'm not that old. Like in my market, we would use this all the time. And so we would even offer a little bit more, but make it so that the net to the seller was the same, but we could get the rate brought down to a point where it made the payments affordable for the buyers. Does everybody win in that scenario?
Yes.
100%. Now, I'm going to say a word that our industry thinks is a little dirty. You okay with this? ARM loan.
Oh, geez.
Oh.
I know!
Whoa.
Whoa. How could he?
Whoa.
Now, why do I say it's a dirty word? What happened right before the financial collapse and crash? Why did ARMs get a bad rap?
People couldn't get out of them, and they were stuck in it.
And they had prepayment
Uncertainty.
penalties.
Yes. Go upstream even further. They were put into a product that they didn't qualify for.
That's true, they had a pulse, they got a
Yeah.
Wow.
I want you to hear me. The product is not a bad product. Arms are a great product for the right people.
True.
For the right situation, the right buyers, an arm is one of many products that can be very good for people. The problem was, we were doing, not we, the industry was doing stated income loans of servers saying they made $400,000 when they might have made 60. So then when the arm adjusted, guess what? They didn't have the resources to keep up with the adjusted payment. That's not a functional problem with the product, that's a problem with the qualification. Now guess what happened post-crash?
Now, they made it so that you have mortgage insurance is required on most everything, which covers their butt. They made a 3-day, what they call a closing disclosure required.
Yep.
They have an open book policy about what you're signing up for, and most everything, I don't know if they do it yet, but most everything I've seen does not have a prepayment penalty, so they can't get out of their loan because they owe too much.
Yes, and how's the qualification? Did it get more difficult?
Yeah, definitely not.
That was the problem. It was like, hey Lee, you pick whatever number you think sounds good that you made last year and we'll make it work. Now, what do you have to document? Like, you pretty much have to take a DNA test.
This is true.
Twice.
Yes!
Yeah, one question for your fund.
Yes! But here's the good news. Guess what? Guess where we are with delinquencies? Right at historic norms. Like, we're not having the huge problem we did before, even though the market is stalled, even though the transaction and unit count is down.
They're starting a little bit though.
Oh, look, but in context,
Man,
nothing like
please do not dispute this big note.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
No, please, but we'll take her out. She's feisty.
Again, perspective. We were seeing double-digit defaults
Yeah.
in the financial crisis.
Yeah.
Like, it was one in every handful that were default. It was bad. That's why we had that problem. So I just want to give you context. I don't know what your local market is, demands, warrants. You need to know what alternate strategies and products do I have available to be able to connect with the right
That
buyers.
is correct. That is correct.
Yes, sir.
There are lots of them out there. There's lots of great programs, so don't get tunnel vision. But I'm going to challenge you, first-time homebuyers will be within, I don't know when, because if anybody tells you they know definitively when any of this stuff's going to happen, they're liars. But I do know in the not too distant future, there will be a time where rates get somewhere favorable and the first-time homebuyers that have been sidelined come back into the market. It's going to be a significant part of our market. And if you wait to figure out your strategy for them at that point, you will already be too late. So I would suggest work on your strategy, find the lender, Steve, that you want to partner with,
Oh, hey.
and come up with your strategy now. Don't wait, right? You need to get ahead of this because there's a huge opportunity coming with them. Now, how many people have played chess in here? Anybody? Well, that doesn't surprise me.
Try.
All right, so I am terrible at it. My oldest son wanted me to start playing. So I have to we have this game where you draw a card and it makes you move to learn how to all the pieces. I still can't even keep track of which pieces move which direction, how many spaces. But there are these other people that they are called savants in chess. Anybody know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
These are the best chess players in the world, ever. So I'm struggling to remember how many spaces the bishop can go and in which direction. And I'm playing one move at a time, yes or yes?
Yes.
So it's like checkers, right? I jump you, you jump me. I move one, you move one. That's how I play chess. Savants, you want to know how many moves there on average? 20 to 30 moves. I can't even remember how many spaces one piece goes, and they're already mapping out 20 moves ahead of what I'm just thinking about doing. Here's the good, you ready for the good news? You don't have to be savants in real estate. You don't need to be 20 years ahead.
Thank goodness.
But a lot of real estate agents aren't even 20 days ahead. A lot of real estate agents wake up and hope that things work out. A lot of real estate agents wake up and wait to see what the market's going to bring them that day. That's a problem. And if you wait for that, you're already too late. Right? So I want to share a quote with you. This is where we're going to jump off. And you can read, you can cheat, it's on the screen. The next level of success always demands a new what? New and improved version of you. So we're going to talk about some mindset stuff. Here's what we're not going to do. We're not going to listen to Lee sing Kumbaya. We're not gonna sit in a circle. Yeah, I know, you're welcome. He wanted to. But here's what it does mean. It does mean that you and I every day need to wake up and see how can we level up? How can we get a little bit better? How can we grow our skill set, which starts by growing our mindset, our perspective, how we see what's happening around us. Because there's always choices. Every day we have a choice. Every day something happens, we choose, is it positive or negative? Is it serving me or is it hurting me? Every day we get to choose. The difference between those that succeed at a high level and those that are average and mediocre or bomb out, the 71% that did nothing last year, is the choices they make. And so it starts with, how am I setting myself up to be able to capture what's around me? Do you all agree that there's opportunity in this market?
Yes.
Do you think the 71% would agree with you?
No.
No, of course not. They're going to say, I'll see, they're just lucky. They're lucky. Yeah, the market's terrible. They've just been in it longer than I have. No, they just had a plan and they worked their plan more consistent. So that's where we're going to go. We good so far? See, Kim, nobody's walked out yet. All right. So here's what we also know. I love this one. You're never going to out-earn or outgrow your personal growth and development. So believe it or not, in this role I talk to a lot of agents. And a lot of the agents hit a production threshold ceiling. Like they just can't seem to bump through. Like they have a good career, they get to a certain point, and then no matter what they try, they just can't really get above a certain earning potential or unit count or volume. Anybody know an agent that I'm talking about? It's not good or bad, it just is. Like you can watch it on a graph. They'll go, and all of a sudden ceiling. They'll bump up against it, fall down a little bit. Hit their head on it, bump down a little bit. And it's just kind of always right in this little range. You know what I'm talking about? Here's what we know the reason that happens. And this is not my opinion. This has been proven study and time again. The fact of the matter is we get to a certain level of success, and then what do we start doing? We start taking our foot off the gas. We stop doing the things that got us to where we are, and then we wonder why we can't seem to push it or grow any more. And so then we look back on it, and that's typically when people hire a coach or they go for outside perspective, and that's why coaching is really not that difficult on this side of it, because all we do is look and we're like, hey, when's the last time you did something new for the first time? When's the last time you did what was working to get you here? And they go, huh. It's not rocket science, but we get complacent, we get comfortable. So we stop pushing ourselves, we stop growing, we stop reading, we stop studying, we stop looking at all the things that made us what we were, and then we wonder why we stop growing in our business.
I'll tell you someone that's impressive. I don't know if you've heard of it yet, but Kim reads everything about business. She does a very good job. She'll say, hey, did you see this picture? Or did you see that one? So she's going to like you later. But she does, and that is very impressive to me. And she'll look at the trends and see what, but I gotta give her credit. And that's, and being in her position especially, I think it's fantastic for everybody.
Hugely important. So write this down, because here's what you also don't understand, maybe some of you, because I get pushback on this from agents. First off is you're all leaders. A leader is somebody that has people following, and if you're all top producers like I know you are, you have clients following you, so you're all leaders. What we know is it's speed of the leader, speed of the pack. So the more you're growing, that creates a vacuum behind you, and it pulls people that are following you up, and it makes them grow, and it draws them forward in the process. Right? So if you stop growing, does that just impact you?
No.
Who does it impact?
No.
Everybody around you. Personal and professional. It doesn't matter what application you're looking at. This is the truth. This is the truth all the way around. So we have to keep pushing on how can I improve, where can I get better, how can I hone my craft, how can I level set a little bit higher each and every day, right? Because incrementally, if I get a little bit better each and every day, 1% better each and every day, I'm miles ahead by the end of the year. Now, here's one from Jim Rohn. I love this. He said, success is who you what? Become, not what you get. So I'll give you another practical application with agents. We see a lot of agents who set these wild, huge production goals. I want to hit this many million in income. Cool, that's great, go for it. I want to do this many transactions. Cool, that's great, go for it. I want to be at this award level. Hey, cool, that's great, go for it. Then they get there, and what do they find?
No.
It's empty. Because they made the mistake of thinking success was something you got to, something that you could take a hold of. And they lost sight of the fact that success is the process of becoming. It's not a destination, it's not a thing, a trophy. Success is who you become in the process of producing at that level. It's who you become in the process of doing that many units. It's not a trophy or an award level. Right? So here's, first I'm going to ask you a lot of rhetorical questions. Do not answer out loud and don't point at your neighbor. But here's the first one I would ask you. Based on who you've been becoming this last year, how successful are you going to be at the end of this year? So based on who you've been becoming, based on your personal growth, your development, your intention of getting better at your craft, what would you bet your success looks like at the end of this year? Now, you can lie to yourself all you want, but the more honest you are when I ask you these questions on your piece of paper, the better it's going to be for you. But that's not my deal, because I'm leaving here in a couple hours, so that's up to you.
No, you're staying.
Yeah, okay, fair. With the weather, I might be. We'll see.
You may
Please
stay.
do.
Wait, do you have to ride back with? Do you have to ride back with him?
No.
Oh.
He's free to laugh.
That's the question.
I don't have enough insurance for that.
You
Yeah.
have to show me Laura's driving.
Yeah. Okay, how many people have ever flown on a plane before? Not a trick question. Man, I hope some of you, all of you have.
Have or
Yeah.
haven't? I couldn't hear. Have or haven't?
Have.
Oh, have, yeah,
Okay.
I'm sure all of us.
So last year, I had 73 airplane rides.
Good.
I've almost memorized the script. Ladies and gentlemen, in the event of emergency, an oxygen mask will fall from the panel above your head. What else? Where do they go?
Take care of
Put yours
yourself
on
first.
first.
Before you, yeah.
Now, some people here, they tell you, in the event you have somebody next to you that needs assistance, please put your mask on first before assisting others. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Almost like I've heard it a few times. The reason they have you do that is not because they care more about you than the other person. It's not because they want you to be selfish. Why are they instructing you to put your mask on first before helping other people?
So if you're not in a position to take care of you, you cannot take care of anyone else.
How many people can you help if you're dead?
Your brain will be clearer.
Yes, you can help no one if you're not around. Now, that's an interesting little story for a plane. We can all relate to it, but what does that mean to your business? Let me tell you what I see in our industry. I see a lot of agents who have on their cards, your 24/7 realtor. Which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Because I'll call you at 3 a.m. and we'll see if you answer. You won't. But the mentality is we have to be all things to all people. We have to try to take care of everyone else's stuff first. We'll miss our own personal life stuff to help somebody else do something. And the problem with that is that eventually that leads to what we call flame out. You'll have a lot of energy, you'll want to help all the people, but then in the process your relationships are in shambles. Your health maybe goes to shambles. Like a lot of the stuff that actually matters goes by the wayside because you want to be everyone else's superhero. Yes or yes? So what I'm going to tell you is the market that we're in and going into, you're going to have to figure out ways to put on your own mask first. This doesn't mean not help other people, but it does mean you best have time in your calendar marked out to take care of yourself, for your personal growth, your personal development. Because I don't know, how many people, anybody work online leads right now? It's not a trick question. Okay, good. Online leads are great. Online leads average conversion is 2 to 4%. Zillow just released a study and said that now, this year, the conversion rate for the first time is in the 1%. Does that mean we should not do online lead generation? Not at all. It doesn't mean that at all. What it means is it's going to take more activity over a longer period of time to get conversions. That's not good or bad, but here's what I know. Your buyers that are calling you, as the market's doing what it's doing, it's likely going to take more conversations, more appointments, more showings to get to the same result. Yes or yes?
Yes.
Are you feeling that in the last few months? So my point is, if you don't figure out ways to carve out time for you to put your own mask on, you're going to flame out. And then you're good to how many people? 0, no one, right? So be really mindful. We are in a market that is back to normal. We are back into what we see as a normal market. It's a good market. But you can't rush and drop everything to go meet somebody. Right now, we joked about this yesterday, right now there are agents, I'm guessing at least one in this room, who are Uber drivers that just don't get paid. Because they're showing people that aren't qualified. They're jumping and running to take people to go see a house that they don't even know if they can afford. Because they're operating in scarcity. They're worried about, what if I don't, and they go work with somebody else? What if you do and they can't even buy the darn house you're showing them? But you made that a priority without taking this. This is a normal market. You've got to carve out time. You've got to have boundaries. You've got to be able to say, this is a scary word, no. Oh my goodness. You got to be able to say no. How many people ever read the book Good to Great? Anybody? So in that book, he says that in order to say yes to a few great things requires saying no to a lot of good things. You're going to have to figure out, how do I say no to a lot of potentially good things? It doesn't mean they're bad things. They're just not the best thing. Or they're not the best thing for me right now.
It's Laura's favorite word. No. Can I buy this?
No. We had that discussion.
Yes, we did. No. No.
All right, here's one. Now, anybody know Zig Ziglar?
Yeah.
All right, one of my favorites. And this is good news for me because I'm from Idaho. Your attitude, not your aptitude, will determine your what? Altitude. It's not about how smart you are. I can tell you clearly, a little over 11,000 hours in coaching real estate agents and broker owners, over 20 years, there are a lot of really talented people that were in the business who aren't anymore. It's not about talent, it's not even about skill. It starts with what?
Attitude.
Yeah, there you go. This attitude, altitude. It starts with your attitude. You can be the smartest person in the room, and if you have the worst attitude, you're choosing to see all the stuff that's falling apart and going wrong in the world right now, guess what you're going to find more of? So, anybody ever heard of the reticular activating system?
Yeah.
So write down RAZ, R-A-Z. You can Google me on this. This is not me just making stuff up on the fly, because you know that most speakers make up 91% of the stats 100% of the time. This is not one of those times. You can look it up. Don't trust me. Verify. Reticular activating system. Yeah.
We have somebody coming around there. She's hired. She's coming back the other way.
Oh,
She has a weapon. I don't know. Maybe.
He's great.
Okay, reticular activating system. Part of your brain.
I'd like to stop with.
Carly.
That's an entrance.
Oh, here's a better hand. Oh, come on down.
Watch out.
Watch the other way.
Watch his entrance.
He doesn't come in.
He's coming in.
I'm sorry.
You're good. I like entrances. Okay, so your reticular activating system. How many people have ever bought a new car before? Or new to you? Doesn't have to be brand new. Anybody? See, you're all excited. You buy this car. You drive off the lot. You drive around town and you're like, what in the world? These losers are all copying me. They went out and bought the same car because I bought it. This is absolutely ridiculous. Guess what the truth is?
They were there all
They were there the whole time. Your brain just didn't see it. Because there's so much happening all around, your brain filters out a majority of what's happening around you. The reticular activating system will help you find more of what you're looking for. That's how it's designed. This is why scientifically what I'm telling you is absolutely factual. If you look for what's wrong around you, what's wrong in the market, what's not going well in your business, guess what you're going to find more of? What's wrong, what's not going right, all the negative stuff. And if you choose to be optimistic, I'm not saying Pollyanna. If your house is on fire and you're sitting in the middle going, this is great, that's not what I'm talking about. But if you're choosing to see the opportunities in the market, guess what you're going to start seeing more of? Opportunities. Your brain is wired this way on purpose. So you can either understand that and leverage it to your benefit, or you can be a victim of it.
Well, that's what we talked about yesterday. More millionaires, maybe billionaires, are made during the down market, and that people don't consider this down market. You know, that's just what you have to look at. There's opportunities everywhere. I mean, everywhere. I get calls every day on real estate, offices.
No.
No. No.
I'm with you, Laura.
But they are. That's where you make. You're not going to make the money in a good market trying to buy, oh, I'm gonna go buy this real estate house in a good market.
Well, to your point, what do we tell clients? You make money when you buy.
That's correct.
You don't make money when you sell. You make money when you buy. It's the entry point, right? So that's why there are a lot of people in these markets that buy. We talked about this yesterday. You're buying at yard sale prices. This is a great time to be buying. This is a great time to do business. There's a lot of opportunity to help a lot of people and make money in the process. But a lot of people miss it. In fact, 71% of people last year missed it because they were worried about what was going wrong. They were too busy focused on all the bad things that were happening to see the good things that were all around them. Both are around us all the time. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
You don't have to look far to find bad stuff happening or good stuff happening. It's just what you're tuning your mind to look for. All right, I'll tell you a really quick story here, and then I'm going to start giving you some books that I'd suggest you read.
Oh, Kim is getting ready.
I know, I'm ready.
Okay, so there was a Zen master, really incredible guy, and this young man wanted to go learn. He wanted to adopt all of what this person had learned over a lifetime of skills training. And so he shows up, and the Zen master's making tea, and he starts pouring. He doesn't say a word. He starts pouring tea into the young man's cup. And it's slowly rising the level, and it's getting to the top, and the young man starts to shuffle. He gets a little uncomfortable, like we're about to have a problem, because he's not stopping pouring. And he's pouring and pouring, and all of a sudden, what inevitably happens? Starts pouring all over the outside of the table. I mean, it's just making a mess. There's tea everywhere. The young guy's like, what are you doing? The Zen master looked at me and said, I'm making a point. Until you make room for what I have to give you, you can take nothing from me. Here's what I want you to understand about that. Some of you have been in this business so long, you're going to have to unlearn what you've learned. You're going to have to forget some of what you think you know. Because unless you do, there's no room for you to be adaptable, to be agile, which we're going to talk about, which is going to be the key to not only surviving, but thriving in this new market. Because we are in a completely different market. I've been in it 20 years, and anybody that tells you we've been here before is on drugs. Like there's something wrong. Because usually what happens? Rates are high, what do prices do?
Drop.
Prices go up. We usually see one or the other. Where are we at right now? What's that correlation look like? Both are just right there. Like we've never seen this exact combination ever. But guess what? A lot of us try to make ourselves feel better and say, oh, this is just like that time. No, it's not. And so what I want you to understand is what worked then isn't likely going to work as well now. So we're going to have to unlearn some of what we think we know. So here's the first book. It's called The Road Less Stupid. It's a really good book. So the company I was at before, I actually had the whole board of directors read this. Keith Cunningham's the author. It's a really great book. But we have to get to a point where we're okay being open to new ways of thinking. It gets very comfortable the longer we're doing something to do it the way we've always done it. Oh, you've heard this before. Fastest way people stop working with me and lose opportunity is when they say, well, this is the way we've always done it. I don't care how you've done it before. We're at a different point today than we were yesterday, than we were a year before, than we were 10 years before. I don't care. Now, maybe it's the right way. I don't know. But that's limited thinking to say this is what we're doing because it's what we've always done. Guess what we always used to do? When I started this business, MLS was in a phone book that was delivered every Tuesday at 8:30 in the morning.
I love those.
She wants a bag.
It was like Christmas.
It was.
Sears catalog coming in.
We were all in the lobby waiting. And they'd bring them in. Boom. And then we'd start looking through, and that's how we knew what was on the market. Some of the young people in the room were like, what are you talking about? There was no online. There was no Flex MLS or Paragon or any of your MLS book. There was none of it. It was a book.
You had to go check out the keys from the different offices.
Oh, that's awful.
But let me tell you, I watched people lose their mind because I was president of the association when we were switching to online. I watched grown men and women have tantrums you've never seen before, saying that online MLS was going to be the death of us. We weren't going to be around in a year because we're putting this online. Because they were so comfortable with the way it always was, they pushed back and they were resisting any kind of what? Change. Now, nothing is perfect, and not all change is good, but it's not all bad either. What I want you to understand is not everything you've done is bad, but you need to be open to rethinking everything you've done to see if it's still the best path for you going forward.
Well, look, and I love what tech can do. I am not a techie person.
What?
Yeah, you can tell. But with AI, you're gonna have to embrace it.
Yeah.
Because it is inevitable. I mean, the things that they're doing now with AI are amazing.
Yeah.
And it makes our job as agents so much easier. You can, and even with bold trails, and again, I'm not the expert, I don't want to be the expert, you're having conversations with people that you're really not having.
Yeah.
It's the AI doing it for you. Hey, how can we help you? What can we do? They're putting money in your pocket to set these people up. So if we can leverage that, can you imagine how much, because people get really free time. My God, what a neat word. Words, free time.
Yeah.
But that's some of the things that we're gonna have to embrace. And the more I hear about it, our discussion last night,
Yeah.
holy guacamole, it's just amazing. But we're gonna, and I cringe when I think about it, because I'm so far behind, but it's gotten so easy, and we'll bring people in that can talk about these things, but it will make your job and life so much better.
Yeah, but we have to be like the teacup that's ready to receive it, right? We can't be so dogmatic. This is the way it's always been, because if that happens, like that's what I was talking with another industry person a couple weeks ago. The AI is not going to replace the agent, but it'll embrace the agent that doesn't accept it.
Correct.
Like we're going to have to dance with it.
Yeah.
It's not ever going to replace. This is still a relational business, very much a person-to-person business. It's never going to be able to do that, but it can make our process easier.
Oh,
It can streamline that process.
it's just, I'm telling you, the things that they're doing are amazing.
It's
And
wild.
what's the new guy with Remax? Is it Travis?
Travis, yep,
Let me tell you, the
Yeah.
guy's brilliant.
yep.
And he came to me of all people talking about all this, and he said, "You got the wrong guy." He was so excited. And Lee, we can do this. Thanks, Travis. I don't know what the heck you're talking about. But I heard AI, and then after that I stopped. But that's the kind of people that Remax is hiring
Yeah.
to help us get to that next level. But yeah, he was so excited. I said, "Oh, buddy, you picked the entirely wrong guy." So.
But it's here, and putting our head in the sand like an ostrich doesn't make it go away, right? So we need to really be open to, is there a better way I can be doing things? Now, Mark Twain, super quirky, loved the guy, one of my favorite quotes. He said, "It ain't what you don't know that gets you in trouble, it's what you know that just ain't so." So a lot of us, like those agents I told you about at the beginning, when I said, "Do you understand the correlation between mortgage rates and how it works?" And they all go, "Yep." They were all real convinced that they what? They knew. And then all of a sudden they found out real quick that they didn't. But they were so sure that it got them into trouble. Now, are there, again, this is rhetorical, don't answer, but what areas in your business, I want you to think through this, what areas in your business are you so sure that you know something that maybe you don't? Maybe there's a different way, maybe there's a different approach, maybe there'd be a more effective path, but what are the areas inside of your business that you're just so sure about that it might be getting you in trouble? Because what worked even a week ago in this business sometimes may not be most effective today. Maybe, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it will be. Right? We've got to really evaluate this on a regular basis. Now here's two more books. Think and Grow Rich and Psycho-Cybernetics. I'm going to talk about both of them really quick. Anybody read Think and Grow Rich? So I read this book every year. I have for 21 years. It's an incredible book. And every time I read it, every year I get something else from it. If you're not familiar with the book, Napoleon Hill, a long time ago, went through Thomas Edison, Andrew Carnegie, like all these huge minds, these hugely successful people. That's who he studied for decades. And then he wrote the book because he found that they all thought a very certain way. And there was a thread that went through all of them that was similar. So it's a phenomenal book. The other one, Psycho-Cybernetics. Here's what this has to do with. So part of my background is in human behavior. And so we know that salespeople can be very technically talented and have a very low conversion rate if they don't understand human behavior. Here's what I mean by this. They can know all the right things to say. They can know the product inside and out. They can know the process inside and out. But if they're not delivering it in a way that resonates with the consumer, their conversion rate remains very what? Low. By studying human behavior, we can understand understand how does the person across the table from me best want to receive this information. And when I can adapt my behavior to match their preferred style, what happens to my conversion rate every time? Through the roof. Naturally speaking, we all communicate the way we like to be communicated with. And if you're married, I'm giving you some marriage advice here. We all communicate the way we prefer to be communicated with. That's just human nature. The problem is we are typically not the same behavior person to person. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
So it's not about how I prefer to be communicated with. It's about how does the person I'm speaking with want to be communicated with. And so the more you study human behavior, the better you can get at adapting, identifying very quickly, and your conversion rates go through the roof. Psycho-cybernetics goes through some of that process and gives you some good education. So I want to give you a few tips here to shift your mindset to be ready to take advantage of what the market's doing. Number one is shifting from scarcity to abundance thinking. So we talked a little bit about this. So scarcity says there's not enough, I got to protect what's mine. I couldn't possibly go share what I'm doing because somebody else might steal it. Can I shock you, just blow your minds really quick? There is nothing in this industry that hasn't been done before. Promise you. There are all those different versions of what people have been doing for a long time, just adapted to the current time, but there's nothing you're doing that's that unique, I promise you. Me either. But some people will not go to a room like this. They won't open their mouth. They won't share because if I help Barry, then that means I lose. That's their way of thinking. Abundance says there's plenty, and I want Barry to win because I can win at the same time. A high tide lifts all boats. The better I help the group get, the better who gets.
We all do.
That's abundant thinking. But when the market shifts and times like this happen, the tide goes out, what is it really easy to shift back into? Super easy to shift into scarcity. Because we start feeling this thing we call fear. Anybody know what the acronym for fear is?
False evidence appearing real.
Yes!
Nice.
How many people know that most of the time what you're afraid of very rarely shows up in the way you think it's going to show up? We tell ourselves a story, it's going to be much bigger than it actually is. It's going to be much worse than it actually ends up being. We allow that fear to hold us back because in the absence of clear direction and when we're feeling fear, it's safer to do what? Nothing. Write this down. Because this applies to your clients. Without clear direction, or when they're feeling fear, it is safer to do nothing. That is the human condition. So if you have buyers that don't understand what's happening in the market, if they don't understand what rates are doing, or pricing is doing, or what options they have to move forward, if there's uncertainty or fear, it is safer for them psychologically to do nothing. Which is why a lot of our buyers are on the sideline right now. That's why I'm telling you, if you get really good at knowing how to help these people, there's lots of deals sitting there waiting for you. But most agents aren't going after those people. And so they're stuck in this loop of, oh, I'm just going to wait and see. That's just a different script for the same thing. All right, next one. Whatever the mind of a man can conceive, it can what? So here's what I think is... Believe. Whatever it can believe. Here's what I think is fascinating. Everything is impossible until somebody does it. Would you agree with that? So there was a guy named Roger Bannister.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And up until the time of Roger, no one had ever run a mile in under 4 minutes. And so naturally, if no one's done it, then everyone said it was what?
Impossible.
Couldn't be done. It's impossible. Roger's like, I don't think so. So he trained, and I'm making a very long story. Again, Google it. It's a great story, a true story. Did a lot of training. He went, and he did it just under, like tenths of a second under 4 minutes. But point is, he ran it under 4 minutes. Guess what happened the 12 months after he did that?
Lots of people could
4 other people ran a sub 4 minute mile. Everything's impossible until somebody proves that it's not. So what I want you to understand is there's probably things in your business, in your market, in your area that you're telling yourself subconsciously, that's not possible. Oh, that won't work in this market. That might work for him, it won't work for me. Oh, nobody's ever done that here, so I couldn't do that. Guess what? Somebody is going to, and might as well be who?
It's me.
You. But again, it's that little voice that we tell ourselves. I was speaking on stage with Tony Robbins at an EXP event, we were backstage and he was having a conversation. I'm going to share a quote with you that he said. But he talked about this, and I thought it was so great. He said that we all have that little voice. And he said that if all of us talked to any of our friends the way we speak to ourselves, we would have 0 friends left. And he's true. We are nasty to ourselves. We are our own worst critics, which I'm great being a realist, but there's a line. We got to be really careful. What are we telling ourselves about our strengths? What are we telling ourselves about our weaknesses? What are we telling ourselves about what's possible for us? It's not the opinion of people around us that holds us back more times than not. It's a little voice in our head, that our own self-talk telling us what's possible. So we need to be really careful there. Now, here's another book with another story. The Obstacle is the Way. If you have not read this book, if you're only going to read one that I give you, this is the one I would say start with, because most people, when adversity shows up, what's their instinct do? Run away from it. As far as you can get from it. That's survival, right? Again, not bad. That's the way we're built. Something, the house is on fire, run the other direction. You hear loud noises, get out of there. Right? That's just the way our brain works. But what Ryan talks about is in business and oftentimes in life, the challenges are things that we should run towards, not away from. And I have to write this down. Opportunity always lies on the other side of adversity. There's always opportunity on the other side of adversity. Why? Because it forces us to level up. It forces us to become a better version of ourselves. It also thins out the herd. 71% of people didn't do what last year? Close the transaction. You think they're running towards the obstacle and the challenge in the market, or are they running away from it? They're sprinting away from it. So now you have less people competing for the same opportunity. And you're going to find opportunity that they're not even looking for. Here's a quick story. There was a shoe sales company, and they sent 2 salesmen to an island. This people group on the island has not been reached yet. They've not seen any outsiders. And so these 2 salesmen go. They go to the island, small, but they divided it up. They said, okay, I'm going to go this side, you go that side. Great. They do a day of discovery, they come back, and they send messages back to headquarters. The first one says, this is an absolute waste of my time. I can't believe you sent me here. This is ridiculous. Nobody here wears shoes. Get me home. The second salesperson sent a message back, and they said, you won't believe it. Nobody here wears shoes yet. Send me all the shoes we have. This is awesome. Same environment, same opportunity, 2 different what? Responses. It's all perspective. So one sees the adversity or the challenge as an absolute roadblock and they cut and run. The other sees it as what? Opportunity, they lean in. Same exact environment, same exact setup. Again, that's happening right now. You've got a majority of the agents who are saying, see, rates are too high, Steve. It's your fault. Can't sell anything because of those stupid rates. There's no inventory, can't sell anything. Might as well just sit and have the coffee. Just going to wait for the market to get better. And then there's a segment of the people that do what? They run towards it. They say, where is the opportunity and how can I go find those people that need my help? Now, how many of you have heard the 80-20 rule? Now, it comes into play in productivity, but what we also know from a statistical standpoint of real estate franchise company or big brokerage, we see this play out. And so typically, over the course of history, 20% of the agents do 80% of the production. You want to know what all the MLS gathered? They just had a big gathering of all the MLS groups. You know what they quietly said that they think their projection is going to be this year? 95-5. They think 5% of the people, members in their MLSs, will do 95% of the production. Because the majority of your competition is going to be focused on what's going wrong and not working. 5% are going to say that's noise and I'm going to go find the people that need my help. And they're going to be rewarded for it. And 95% won't. So again, the choice is yours. Same market, shoe sales, same opportunity. The outcome's going to be very different for a lot of people in your MLS. Here's the next one. Where the head goes, the body follows. Perception precedes what? Action. Right action follows the right perspective. I thought this was interesting. Perception precedes action. Here's what we know this is true and what this impacts you. If we wait until we feel like it, will we ever do it? No.
Maybe.
So, yeah. How many people have New Year's resolutions that they stuck to so far this year? That's all right, we'll wait and get it next year. We'll try again next year. Perception precedes action. I have to perceive and decide something before I take action, because if I just blindly take action, I'm going to probably nowhere. There are a lot of agents right now too that think that the answer is just doing what? A lot of people think it's just doing more. Oh, if I just make more calls, if I just come to the office more, it'll magically work out. You understand they're doing more of the wrong activity, it's still going to get you what result? Zero. It's not about doing more. So we got to be really careful when the market turns like this too, because the answer is not just more activity, it's more of the right activity. You understand this is a contact sport, yes or yes?
Yes.
Lee was talking about this yesterday, and it's true. We see it in coaching all the time. We'll go into an environment and we'll say, great, what's going on? They're like, hey, I'm frustrated, my business is not moving. Awesome. How many people did you talk to last week? Well, I had an appointment, and then I had to do the thing with the kids at school. Great, so how many contacts? 3. Huh, okay. All right, so how many the week before? Well, I was on vacation the week before. Great, you see where this is going. It's not about doing more, it's about doing more of the right action. So I want you to stop just for a second, write down what is the right action you need to do more of in your business this month. This month. Don't worry about the year. This is a sprint, not a marathon. What's the action inside of your business that you need to do more of? The right action. You don't know what it is. I don't need to tell you what to do. But what do you need to do more of? When you do more of the right activity, results start showing up. You ready to be an artist really quick?
Yes.
Great, one of you. Okay. So, can you all draw a donut on your page? Just a donut. Or you can call it a life ring if you're on a diet, whatever you want to call it. Yes, outer ring, inner ring. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Now, in the outer ring, I want you to write just a letter. You can all do this, I know you can. I want you to write the letter B inside the outer ring. And in the inner ring, I want you to write the letter P. So here's the truth of the human condition, myself included. We will spend the majority of our time in the outer ring, which the B stands for busy work. And we'll live there because it makes us feel what?
Accomplished.
Makes us feel great. Like, see, I'm trying my hardest. I'm really busy. The problem is, just because you're busy, it doesn't mean that you're on the inside ring, which the P is productive. They're two very different types of activity. So if you're like me, you get home sometimes from work and your spouse, significant other, parakeet, dog, whoever looks at you and says, how was your day? You're going to say, woo, it was crazy. You say, oh, what did you do? And you're like, huh. I mean, I know I was really busy, but you can't think of one single actual thing that you did, but you were doing stuff all day, yes or yes?
Yes.
That's how you know you're living in the outer ring. What does that mean for the results of your business?
The same.
About the same as what you've been getting at that point, right? So I want you to think through, when you look at your calendar over the course of the next month, how much time are you spending in busy work versus productive work? This again is where saying no is going to be really important, because there's going to be lots of things that are going to pull you into trying to do busy work. Lots of stuff is going to be competing for your attention, but we know it's going to take more of the right activity over a longer period of time, done more consistently in this market for you to win. You have to guard your time, and you need to spend more of your time in the inner circle. You'll follow me so far. Really, really key. All right, tip 2, embrace adaptability. Are you new here?
I'm not I don't do it as well as she does.
Embrace adaptability. How many people love change? Liars.
Barry said he loves it every day. He's over here playing crossword puzzle.
Barry, that was the bus that just rolled over the top. You're backed up. Okay, so embrace adaptability. How fast is this this market moving and changing? Every day, almost hourly some days it feels like. How many people know that there's noise now about this debate about clear cooperation and what that's going to look like and how that's going to shake out the MLS and whether we share our listings or don't share it? Anybody know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Whew. How many people know agents that spend their entire day just reading Inman, which is the National Enquirer of Real Estate, and tracking all of what he said, she said, instead of actually doing what needs to be done, which is a contact sport to go help people?
I'll tell you a story similar to that.
Yeah.
And I've been there a long time. There was a lady, we went to high school with them, I'm gonna say her name because some of you really one day. So, I get in the office really early, every day. I don't go to work out like some people post my picture in this little half-naked shirt. But I would watch this lady come in the morning, she's a bright lady, don't get me wrong. So, she'd come in, she'd have her desk. And if you saw my desk, you'd go, oh my gosh, what a crazy mind. So she'd come in, and she'd be in early, and same routine, and I'd watch people, and I watch habits. She'd come in, get her coffee, do whatever little thing she had to do. And she'd sit at her desk. And this is probably, we'll say 8 o'clock. It wasn't that early, because I wasn't early. She'd look at this paper, and move it to this side of the desk. She'd look at that paper, move it to this side of the desk. So I watched this for a few days, and I said, about 30 minutes. I said, ma'am, what are we doing? She says, I'm working. I said, from touching these papers multiple times a day, are they going to call you out? Are you going to get busy? Well, I just want to make sure my desk is organized. You can organize yourself without business. And that's very similar to what you're saying.
Yeah, it's
And-
getting ready to get ready to get ready to get ready. Yeah.
So I said, look, obviously I can't help you. She was beyond my help. I could not, because I was like, holy God. So she joined the Buffini group,
Yeah,
career skyrocketed.
yeah.
She had a path, and I'm very proud of her. Nowadays she doesn't shuffle, she doesn't come in the office as much, because maybe I was there. But that is it.
Yeah.
You've got to have a purpose to do that. And I don't think a lot of people do. They get up and say, new day, we talked yesterday.
Yeah.
In my opinion, very successful people will set their day the evening before. I've learned that seems to work best. So super early in the morning, I see people get up, they do a devotional, whatever they do, whatever your thing is. But, I've seen that 10 minutes of workout, a little 1980s shirt cut off, flash dance, come on, brother.
And fuchsia.
Put the head very low. So, that's my point. Have it play.
So, for sure. Now, how many people, Jim Rohn? Anybody read Jim Rohn? Remember we talked once about him, okay? To Lee's point, he's famous for saying that your tomorrow starts the night before. Your tomorrow starts the night before. So a lot of agents roll into today, and they're waiting to see what today's going to hold until they get in the office today. And then they're just at the mercy of whatever happens. Right? That's like a ship with no rudder. They're just going wherever the wind takes them. Anybody can relate to that? Yeah, more than one person. She's just brave. Okay.
And I'm there that way.
Yeah.
Kim, that damn Kim.
Is it true though?
Oh, it's true.
Like, we need to know the day before, what am I going to get done? What's most important? And here's what I'll tell you, and you can all come look at my calendar if you think I'm blowing smoke. We all should be time blocking. What do I mean by time blocking? By time blocking, I mean the day before, the night before, you're blocking out time for key activities. So I ask myself the question, what are my productive activities that need to get done on a daily basis? Do you have an idea of what those might be for you in your business? Lead generation is a big one. Lead follow-up is also a big one. Right? Deal writing is one. Like, these are all productive activities necessary for you to help buyers and sellers get to a positive outcome, which then leads to a closing for you.
One of the trainers years ago had A, B, and C tasks. I
Yep.
don't know what it was.
Buffini does that. Yep. And he has clients too. Yep.
Yeah, and it was A, B, and C, and A is obviously your top thing.
Yep.
B is your, and C's shuffling papers.
Yep.
And, doing stuff at night, watching TV or whatever.
But if it's not on your calendar, how likely is it to happen? It just won't. There's always stuff that's competing. So what you can come look at mine, but yours should look very similar. Every day, the first half of my day is blocked out. The last half is open for just life to happen. For fires to show up, for showings, for whatever needs to happen for you in that day. But the first half of the day, like Lee will tell you, we connect. I never talk to Lee in the morning. Because in the morning, I'm knocking out my key productive activities, what we call my 20% stuff. Has to get
I
done.
would like to have been key productive.
You're C, you're C.
I'm saying, oh, Lee, it's midnight.
He doesn't have an hour to talk to you.
It's actually.
Well, lots of people who
Good
miss
Lord.
You taste metal yet? So, it's actually good that you're not, because then I'd be coming after you with something totally different. But point being, like, it's important, but is it most important right now is the question you have to ask yourself. Anything can be important, but is it most important right now? And what I know is when you block your day and you put your productive activities up front, just in the first 3 hours of each day, you win the day, even if it goes to you know where after the first 3 hours. As long as you get all this stuff done, you're still moving what?
Forward.
You're still moving forward. Your business is still on the right track. You're doing all the right things. Then you can take care of everything else that needs to happen or shows up. But you still won the day. And if I win the day, I'm on pace to win the week. If I win the week, I'm on pace to win the month. And if I win the month, then I'm clearly going to win the year. But it starts by you understanding what's my most productive activity, prioritizing accordingly, and then putting it into your calendar, and then just working your plan. One of the other biggest downfalls of our industry, again, speaking to myself and you're listening, is that we're a lot of entrepreneurs, we're a lot of independent-minded people. Don't tell me what to do. I don't want to have a job. I got out of that job because I don't want to have to punch a clock. Anybody know what I'm talking about? 3 reasons people get into, NAR backs this up every year. 3 top reasons people get into this business. Freedom, flexibility, earning potential. 3 reasons people get out of this business. Freedom, flexibility, earning potential. They forget to work for themselves like they used to work for their employer.
It was when I went to USC to play baseball. I forgot you had to sign up for classes. So I forgot to sign up for science. And all it was left was self-paced astronomy. And I'm going, self-paced astronomy? I think I can do that.
What could go wrong?
Yeah. And so I go to sign up, and go to the career girl, and she says, now I want you to know, this is the most failed course. And I'm thinking, oh my God, self-paced astronomy. Is there a trick? You get one test and it's it? She said, no. You can take each test as many times as you want to. Now they change, but you can take it as many times as you want to. And I was rather curious on that. And I said, she said, most people won't even finish the course. I'm going, oh my God, is it like nuclear physics? Is it astrophysics?
No.
She said, they just don't show up.
Self-management.
So, I'm thinking, okay, you got your first module. The first test is there, I'm going, oh my God, what are they going to ask? And it was like, what color is the earth? I'm going, oh my God, this is a joke. Click, 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 I think there were 10 questions. Past chapter 1. Now, this is South Carolina, so you know it's not. So I'm like, oh, and then the little machine said, oh, pass. Okay. So I kept doing that, passed the whole course in 3 weeks. So I go back to the lady and said, ma'am, am I being pumped? Is there like more? She said, no. Congratulations, you passed the course. Would you like to take the second one? There's another one? Yes! I would love it. Did it again. And she says, congratulations, you passed the most difficult course you passed at the University of South Carolina because it's self-paced. So, you know, don't let it scare you that freedom can take you out of the business, but use it. There was a guy, I'm digress, I'm sorry, there was a 6'10" guy, Howard Wayne years ago, stood up on the stage from Canada. I'll never forget, he was just a huge man. And he says, my time, I was not good at working my time. And he said, I got pissed off one day, and he said, I'm gonna do an hour of power. Hour of power. He said, 5 minutes of call, and he did calls. Back then you could do them, not go to jail. Warm, cold, you know, whatever. 5 minutes for 60 minutes. So I think it's 12, is that right?
Yeah.
Something like that. 12 calls. So, 1 hour of power. And he told his staff, do not bother me during that hour. He put a sign of a dragon on there. He said, if the building's on fire, don't come get me. Well, literally one time the building did get on fire. They had to get him out. Left him alone. Fireman's like, dude, it's on fire. Oh, okay. He said that 1 hour, 12 calls, and that's calls that he spoke to people, changed his whole career, changed his life. 12 calls a day. And he did it So you did it 6 days a week, because you get a half day on Saturday. So that little bit can change your world, but you've got to put it into your schedule and calendar.
100%. And then the key is consistency. Write this down if you're taking notes. Consistency beats intensity every time. So we see this with agents that are either getting new into the business or they're reinvigorated in the business. They have all kinds of energy, Kim, right? They're going to take the world by the tail. They're going to do this, and then 2 weeks later, it's like, wah, wah. And that freedom sounds really good. So then they start coming to the office about 10, 11. Sometimes then they come into the office at all. Consistency beats intensity. You don't need the super intense. You don't need to be on the phone 9 hours a day. Consistency will beat intensity every day. A little bit done consistently over time builds momentum. And that's what we're talking about. So whatever that looks like for you in your business, look at it. Now here's a book I'd really have you read. You could read this in an hour and a half. It's a small book. It's called Who Moved My Cheese?
Kim, I assume you've read this one too.
I have.
Yeah. Great book, right?
It is.
Now what this book is talking about when something significantly changes, how do people respond? And people typically respond in one of two ways. They either get frustrated and wish it was the way it used to be, or they adapt, they move forward, and they survive. A couple quotes from this book. First one, some people never change and they what?
Pay a price.
Pay a price for it. NAR is estimating that we're going to see a bigger number of seasoned agents getting out of the business in the next 14 to 18 months than we have in the previous number of years. Because they don't want to have to change. They just are going to hang it up, right? Maybe they were kind of at the point where they weren't sure, and they just decide, you know what, this is just a good time for me to be done. That's fine if that's what they want to do, but some people never change, and ultimately they're going to pay a price.
That right there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, and I see this in a lot of my offices. We have people that are just like that. I don't want to change. I've got a great book of business. I want to tell them goodbye, sayonara. What is that? It's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Why would you not consider going to some of these people and say, hey, I tell you what, you've got a great book of business, you've got a great reputation. Let me pay you for your book of business. Let's work that out. I'll give you 25% for whatever that looks like. That right there is a perfect opportunity.
Yep.
And I see it all the time.
Yep.
Hey, I'm just too old, I don't want to do it. But my God, you've sold 4 million houses in the last, whatever years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't want to do it anymore. Well, I'll tell you what, let's work together and work on an exit strategy for you. Perfect opportunity right there.
And the average age in NAR went up again this last year. So that opportunity is getting bigger, not smaller, right? So again, and there's still plenty of those people that are changing faster than some of the younger folk too. It's not about an age thing, but wherever people are at in their journey, either they adapt to change or they let it take them out. Here's the next one. The question is, what do we need to let go of, and what do we need to move on to? So this is a rhetorical question for you to write down and consider over the next course of the month for you and your business. What inside of your business do you need to let go of to position yourself to be able to take a hold of something different or something new? Whether that's a thought process, a system, a person, a technology, I don't care what it is. I don't know what it is, that's your business, not mine. But what is it in your business that you need to let go of so that you're positioned to take a hold of something different? Something that might serve you better. Again, remember, you're going to have to fight the complacency and the comfort because it's always safer to keep doing what we're doing. We don't have to think about it when it's something we've used for 437 years. But maybe there's a solution that would be better for us today. Maybe not, but maybe there is. It's worth considering inside of your business. Now, I was presenting in Toronto to the Canadians, and they made me promise to put something about hockey in. So here's the Wayne Gretzky quote that you guys know. But he was an incredible hockey player.
Right.
And he was asked oftentimes, time and time again, how do you do that? And his answer was, because I skate to where the puck is going, not where it is. Most agents, most of your competition, they're just skating to where the puck is today. They're not thinking ahead of where the puck's going, and that's why their business reflects it. They do really well when the market does well, and what happens when the market goes down? So does their business. There's opportunity both sides, and yet the top salespeople, you'll see their business chug right along. Whatever the market's doing, it doesn't matter. They're still having a consistent and a good business because they're always looking at where is the market going. So, how many of you look at like the Keeping Current Matters newsletter? Anybody? Okay, write that one down. I'm going to give you a couple of suggestions of how you can see where the puck is going. Now, good news is, we decided an agreement with KCM. This is not an endorsement because you don't pay for it, it's going to be included. But inside of Bold Trail, that's going to be open for you to be able to send to your clients. So they scrub data, charts, and they interpret what that's happening in the market, positioning you like the expert to send out to your clients. But for you, I'm talking about what would I be looking at? We talked about Mortgage News Daily, the app. That's the first one. The second one is Resi Club Pro, R-E-S-I, Club Pro. There's a blog of his that you can see for free, and he does a really good job of interpreting data and what's happening in the market, connecting it with story to understand and interpret what that likely means in the future. Resi Club Pro, incredible. Here's what I also know. If you can spot trends that are happening before your competition, can you position yourselves to be ready for the opportunity that's going to be found there? Yes or yes?
Yes.
But if you're not paying attention, you don't know what's happening, you're just always in a state of reacting, and that's where most of your competition lives, is reacting to whatever happens in the market.
Did you say, sorry,
Yeah.
keeping current matters, we used to get that before you back when?
Yes, so we just signed an agreement, it's going to be integrated into Bold Trail. So part of the campaigns to send out to clients, it's going to have some of the market data, some of the charts that are already listed. Yeah. So ultimately, what you need to be doing is just looking. Now, here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to become the agent that spends 9 hours a day looking at this stuff and forgets to prospect. It's not what I'm suggesting. But in time block, I have 30 minutes every morning where I have blocked just for this stuff. 30 minutes, that's all it takes. Because I don't need to know everything that's happening. I don't need to be an expert in all of it. I just need to know a good idea of what's happening. What are the big headlines, and what does it mean to me? Lastly, how many people have ever logged into the NAR website? That's more than normal. Okay, so what most people don't understand is that the statistics side of that website is an incredible resource. They do more polls and studies and charts and graphs than you can ever imagine. And it's really valuable stuff. That's where we get a lot of our stuff for national broadcasts. You pay for it with your membership. You might as well leverage it, but that's also a great place to go and see what's happening. What are they seeing? This is how I knew the average age in NAR went up. This is how I know that there's first-time homebuyer pent-up demand that's sidelined that hasn't gone away. It's how I know that we're approaching 6 years undersupplied in our market. Like, I don't create all this stuff. I just study what's happening, and now that gives me talking points to know how do I help you all stay ahead of where the puck is going. Okay? Here's the next one. Tip 3, power of positivity and persistence. So we talk about positivity, right? That's not saying things are great when they're not, but it's looking for the great things that are always around us. Choosing to focus on those and look for those. Persistence. This is a big one. How many people know an agent that is looking and they find some pill, potion, magic website, technology that is surely going to change their business? They're not going to have to do the work, but they're just super excited because they paid for this system or this process or this tool that's just going to change everything for them. Anybody know an agent like that? We are salespeople's best dream, our industry. Because we will buy anything that looks like it means we have to do less work. Anything. Here's what I know though, is a lot of times people will get any of those things, systems, technology, process, whatever it is, they'll get all those things and they'll use them really intentionally for a couple of weeks. And then they'll use them maybe once a month. And then a year later, they don't remember that they bought that until they see the credit card charge come back a year later. You all know what I'm talking about because it happens to you too. Me too. Persistence is the key. Like, it doesn't matter what are you doing for a little bit of time. What are you doing all the time? Are you staying in touch with those people? Like, here's my favorite one. Anybody other than me ever have people that you've talked to about listing properties, and then you drive by and you see a sign in the yard that's not yours? Anybody else? That's a fun one, huh? You're like, gosh darn it, Mom, you know that I'm in real estate. Why did you list with Kim? It's ridiculous. Whose fault is it that they didn't list with you? Yours, mine. We weren't persistent. We assumed that they were going to think of us. They got a few other things on their mind. Here's what I'm telling you. The normal market means you're going to have to be more persistent. And you're going to have to be more persistent, more consistently over time. You're going to have to figure out a way to be in more communication, more consistently with your people, or your people will be found by somebody else. Because guess what our unit count is doing sales-wise in the country? Anybody see what it did this last year? Down. Guess what it's supposed to do this year? Down a little bit more. Now that doesn't mean bad news. It means bad news for the 71% that didn't do a transaction last year. That doesn't bode well for what this year looks like for them. In parts of California, they're at their lowest sales level since 1994. Like, it's a significant change in the market. It's not bad, but what I'm telling you, it's going to take more activity done with more persistence, done more consistently over time for you to get your spot on the podium. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay. Here's a good one. If you have a problem with this, this is an area of opportunity for you. The Power of Positive Thinking is a great book. It's not airy-fairy. It's considered one of the classics on positive thinking. It's a really wonderful book. So if you're typically the glasses half empty person, this might be the book for you. Okay? Now, he says in this book, one of many things he says that are brilliant. He says, do the thing you fear, the death of what? The death of fear is certain. Again, it goes back to like what we fear typically is never as bad as we think it's going to be. It rarely ever shows up with the big nasty fangs and claws that we think it's going to have. But we tell ourselves a really good story and give ourselves permission to not do that thing because what if it doesn't work out? Right? So run to it, not away from it. Now this is a big one too, and this one, we have a whole separate class just on this one quote. He says, the trouble with most of us is that we'd rather be ruined by praise than saved by what? Really be careful of who you surround yourself with. We all are wanting to gather people who tell us how amazing we are. Because that feels good, right? And in the process, there are a lot of agents that are being praised right out of the business in this kind of a market. Oh, it's okay you didn't get that. It's okay, you're great. You're awesome. It's okay you didn't do lead generation today. You'll get it tomorrow. It's okay, you're really amazing as a person. We love you, even though you have no sales and you're going to have to get a different job. But we surround ourselves with those people because it makes us feel good. Rarely do people actually find someone they give permission to tell them what they don't want to hear. What I want you to understand is those people will be the best asset you have in your business, especially in markets like this. People that come alongside you and say, Steve, I like you, but I see this happening and I'm concerned for you. Can we talk about it? That doesn't mean that's a comfortable conversation, but do you think we all need to have conversations like that had with us from time to time? Because I don't know about you, but we lie to ourselves better than we can lie to anybody else. It's okay, you'll get it tomorrow. It's okay, you'll just try harder the next time. And then that keeps going on and on and on. How many people in the room have kids? Okay? How many people that know somebody that has kids? You know somebody that has kids, right?
I have kids.
Okay. So,
I raised it was here.
okay. It was just a flex. All right. So here's a question. So would you all agree that when parents have children, they believe these children to be the most beautiful of God's creation ever?
Wives.
Yes or yes?
Yes.
And that's a great thing because they're responsible for keeping the human alive. Yes or yes? So it's kind of good that you think they're the most beautiful thing in the world because you keep them going. Now, most parents believe that. And about 98% of the time they're right. And then 2% of the time Steve's in the grocery store and they're like, look at our baby. And Steve's like,
Precious. She's precious.
it's precious. You all know exactly what I'm talking about. They're not objective, so they think that baby is beautiful, and you're like, that baby is fugly. There is nothing to say about that baby.
Wow. Women like that.
And you've all done it, you've all thought it, that's why you're laughing. Here's what I want you to understand. Some of your businesses are that baby. And some of you aren't objective because you can't see anything but a beautiful little baby in that business. And anybody on the outside like Steve would be like, oh dear Lord, that's not a beautiful business. That sucker's ugly. But you can't see it. Do you get my point? So be really careful who you surround yourself with when we're in this kind of a market. Find people that want the best for you, but that will be honest with you. That will have those conversations with you. That will point things out to you that you don't want to see, but that you need to see. Does this make sense to everybody? Good, the three of you. Perfect. Okay. Here's the next one, tip 4. Shatter limitations. We talked about this. The number one thing that holds us back is that little voice in our head. So we've got to get to the point where we stop listening to it. Because most limitations are self-imposed. So there's a great book John Maxwell has called No Limits.
All right, Kim, did you do it?
Nope, I haven't read that one.
Oh,
I told you we'd find one.
We got one.
We'd find one. I promised him we'd find one. No Limits. It's a phenomenal book. But all of us struggle with this. And even if you are sitting there saying, I don't struggle with limitations, I promise you do in some area of your life. All of us do. Phenomenal book. Quick story. Now, how many people know what a flea is? Yeah. So, luckily I didn't see any in Lee's car.
No.
However,
That's Laura's car.
if you find fleas, true story, you put them into a jar and you put the lid on tight. You set it on your counter. What is the first thing a flea will try to do? Jump and get out, right? It doesn't want to be confined. It's a new environment, doesn't understand. And inevitably, when it jumps high enough, what does it hit its head on? The lid. Now it does that enough times, it gets conditioned, and it realizes every time I jump, I hit my head. I'm not going to do this anymore. So it jumps, but it jumps a little bit lower. It holds a little bit back. You all follow me so far? And this cycle continues to the point where eventually you can take the lid off of the jar, and what do the fleas stop even trying to do? Jump. There's no lid on the jar, but they're not even trying because they told themselves there's a ceiling up there, there's a jar lid up there, I'm hitting my head, that's going to hurt, don't even try. Guess what? I'm not saying you're gross, but you're just like the fleas, so am I. Eventually we try something, we hit no once in a while. Oh, God forbid we hear the word no when we're talking to a client or a prospect. See, Lee, I'm not even going to try to do the prospecting anymore because I just heard a no. That means they don't like me. No, what I want you to write down is no doesn't mean never, it means not yet. That's all no means. It does not mean never. I can't tell you how many times I've recruited an agent or sold to a client who said no to the person before me. It doesn't mean never. It just means not yet, and typically what it means is I still have questions, so I'm not comfortable making a decision. So you need to just get better at asking questions. So that's the next place we're going to go to. If you all want to survive and then thrive in this market, get really good at asking questions. I was taught a long time ago by a mentor that we're all paid in direct proportion to the quality of the questions that we ask. So if you want to make more money, learn how to ask better questions. Now, you go into an Ace Hardware store, what do they always ask you? You know what I'm going to use is actually Buc-ee's now from now on. I was my first Buc-ee's yesterday. That's very...
He's like, oh my God.
I was texting all my friends. I'm like, I'm at Buc-ee's. So if we walk into Buc-ee's, what do they say? Okay, so that same thought process. You go into Ace Hardware. They run up with the red vest. What do they say? What can I help you with? What do you say?
Show me how they run up again.
Oh no, what do they say? What do they say? How can I help you? What can I help you find? What do you say?
Just looking.
Nope, just looking. Nope, back away. I'm just looking. Unless you're a loser and have nothing else to do, you went there for a reason. You're looking for something, but when they asked you, your response was,
No.
oh. It doesn't mean, no, I don't need anything. It doesn't mean, no, I don't want your help. You're just stalling. You're just buying some time. What I want you to understand is you're going to hear no more in this kind of a market. That doesn't mean stop. That means start asking a question. We're asked all the time questions, but most of the questions we are asked are what we call low-level questions. They don't make us think. We can just respond that fast with an answer. If you have kids, you get home, you say, how was your day? Fine. What did you do today? Nothing. It's because you're asking low-level questions. Versus, what was the best thing that happened to you at school today?
Still no.
Yeah. You gotta get good at asking questions. Because people aren't just gonna throw out at you what you're looking for. It happened faster before because there was a frenzy in the market. They felt like if they didn't jump in with you, they were gonna miss out. Now they know they have time. So you have to be really good at the process, and it starts by learning how to ask better questions. Now, here's a Maxwell quote from that book. He said, life is like a 10-speed bike. Most of us have gears we what? Never use. True story. My oldest son, Noah, is 15. He's now driving, which is absolutely mind-blowing to me. But But when he was little, he started on a Strider bike. Everybody know what those are?
Yes.
They have no pedals. They don't teach them how to balance. Brilliant. Wish I would have thought of it. So then you move them up, and they get a single speed BMX bike. You know what I'm talking about? Just one gear. And then taking it off jumps like total boy. Like, thank God we've never broken any limbs, but it's been close a couple of times. Just absolutely zero fear. So then he gets a little bit older, and what do we move him up to? A mountain bike with 18 gears. I'm like, Noah, dude, this is amazing. I never even had one of these. You're gonna love it. You have 18 gears, man. He's like, okay, cool. So we live on a circle, and he gets on the bike, and he starts riding it. And his feet are like, and I'm like, Noah, shift. He's like, nope. I'm like, no, you're working harder than you need to. Shift. And he's like, no, Dad, it might come off the chain. Nope, I don't want to do it. Nope, I'm fine. I'm like, Noah, he literally looks like the Wizard of Oz, going around our circle, spinning his little feet like this. Most of us operate in life the very same way. Because it's more comfortable, it's safer to stay where we are. It's safer to do it the way we always did it than it is to consider trying something new or shifting into a higher gear. This market's going to require you to use the other gears you have access to that you just aren't using. That could be discipline. He said it. That could be consistency. They can take a lot of different forms. But I want you to think through, where in your business do you have gears that you're not shifting into? Because you're going to need them. It's going to take more persistence, done more consistently over time to get to the same results. It's going to require more gears. Here's one of the Tony Robbins quotes. He said, the only thing standing between you and your goal is the BS story you keep telling yourself as to why you what? Can't achieve it. There again, here's this limitation. Here's this self-talk. It's not the market that's the problem. It's not inventory that's the problem. It's not rates that's the problem. It's that little story you're telling yourself about why you can't do it, why it won't work. That's the problem. Because while you're telling yourself that story, other people are out what? Doing it. They already figured it out. So again, life is all about choices. That's what we see in this market. Now, next one. This is a phenomenal book. Donald Miller, Building a Story Brand is the book. Anybody read this one?
Yes.
Yep.
Phenomenal book.
We did it at book club last year.
Phenomenal book. Here's what this is really good. You have an advantage because you already read it. Here's what I want you to understand. Stories sell. Low-level salespeople, people that are not trained, majority of real estate agents in our industry come in and they believe that telling is selling. So they just sit across from the person, they just have verbal vomit and diarrhea all over the people. Just blah, 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 and the people are like, it's not effective. It's not about what you have to say. I need to ask questions to understand what they're looking for to see how I can help them. One of the most effective ways I can build rapport on the front end and make them comfortable sharing with me is by telling what? Stories. So we had a story in the room yesterday where somebody had a client, they were in a contract for new construction, they used, I know Steve, don't throw anything, they used the builder's financing because it was an incentive, and lo and behold, it crashed and burned right before closing. So another lender had to come in, and they got it pre-qualified and closed in 8 days. That was the story shared in the room. Now, how would I use that in this example? Let's just pretend that you have buyers that might be looking at new construction. Does anybody have any buyers that may want to look at new construction this year potentially? And maybe, just maybe, because oh by the way, did you know that we now have the highest level of new construction unsold properties that we've had in 15 years? Also came to my 30 minutes every day. But that's powerful to know, because now if I have a buyer that wants to go look at new construction, guess what the builders are starting to do to try to move some of that inventory? Oh, you've seen this story before.
Is this about D.R. Horton?
Yeah. So they have these incentives, but typically, a lot of times, it doesn't work out as planned or promised. So if I have buyers considering, guess what? I could tell them, you don't want to do that, that's a bad idea, it's not going to work. Or I could say, hey, you know what? I know some other clients that I was working with. And they decided to go down this path, and here's what the outcome looked like. Do you think it might be in your best interest for you to connect with Steve and see what your options might be outside of the incentive with the builder's financing? Because ultimately, I just want you to have all the information at hand to make the best decision for you and your family. You see how this works? Stories sell. Stories are what are powerful because they help people relate. Now, really quickly, we may not have time for the last segment. Too much stuff, not enough time. I'm sorry. We can do it virtual. Okay. How many people in here at all have ever had clients that, maybe like a listing client, that said, I want to list my house and it's 2 times what the market says it's worth? Cool. How many people have ever had buyers that said, I'm going to wait until rates get into 3s again? Yep. So is it okay that I give you a real quick, simple framework you can use for any of these situations that will help turn these more times than not? It's 3 words. Are you ready? 3 F's. They're all appropriate. First one is feel.
Feel.
Second one is felt. Last one is found. Here's how this works. Steve, I can appreciate that you think that your shack over here is worth $3 million. What I've found is...
It's not.
Yeah. You see where this is going? I need to connect the dots with them. I can appreciate how you feel. I'm not going to tell him he's right, but I'm telling you he's heard. I can appreciate how you feel. I've had other people, other clients that felt the same way. And what we found was by pricing it high and waiting for the market to come down, we missed the potential selling season. Tell me again, Steve, what would it mean to you if we didn't sell within this time frame? What would that mean to you and your family? I'm not telling him one way or the other what to do, but I'm taking him through a process. I can appreciate how you feel. I'm identifying, I'm hearing you. I had other people that felt the same way. You're not alone. Other people think the same way too. And what we found through shared experience was X, Y, or Z. What do you think is best for you? Does this make sense to everybody? I'm not pushing. I'm not selling a used car. I'm not doing anything sleazy. I'm just asking what? Questions and telling a story. I'm letting them self-discover, come to the best decision for them possible, but I'm guiding them through the process. Do you have a question?
I would just suggest not using those exact words, because once you know it and somebody does it to you, I'm like, oh, you feel found in me. Like, it feels very technique-y if you use those exact words, so get the spirit of it.
Sure. But I'm wanting to let them know they're hurt. Other people have been in the same position before, and here's the outcome that we discovered.
You know this time shit.
100%.
Okay.
But here's what we also know. We know that top timeshare salespeople are top salespeople, and then there's a lot that are really horrible at what they do. 100%. So what I'm talking about is how do we get people to really think through what it is they want, what the implications would be, good or bad, because ultimately who then is making the decision? They are. This is what I'm saying. I'm not pushing them to do anything. I'm positioning them to make the best decision for them. All right, here's the next one. Donald Miller from that book, he said, never assume people understand how your brand can change their lives. What do you need to do? Tell them. So right now, do you have more competition in your market than you did a couple of years back before the COVID pandemic? Are there more agents in your MLS? Nationally, it's gone crazy. So there's a lot more agents out there competing for fewer transactions. Have we been here before? Say yes.
Yes.
Now the good news is RE/MAX outproduces the competition 2-1. You guys did it again this last year. So that doesn't necessarily have to impact you, but what I'm telling you is you need to know what your specific story is for your business. What do you do better than everybody else? How do you deliver service, help buyers and sellers differently than everybody else? Because everybody in this space has a license. That's not the hard part. Why do people want to work with you instead of the person sitting next to you? And it doesn't mean that they're bad, but what's your superpower? What do you do different? Does this make sense? I want you to think through this, because if you don't have an answer to that question right now, you're already behind. You need to understand what is it that sets you apart, what makes you different, and then you need to be able to convey that. That's what you sell. Because in the process of that, you are then going to be attracting the people that you want to work with. How many people, right now, if you're being honest, have a phone?
Yes.
Good. Okay, we're good so far. So you have a phone, and it rings, and it's one of the people you're working with, and you look at it, and you're like, oh. How many people? Yeah. Now, here's what the whole point I'm making. When you understand who you are, what you do, and who you serve the best, you have less of those conversations. Because you're attracting people that want what it is you have to offer. what's specific to you and your value prop. Does this make sense to everybody? You need to get really clear at what you do different. What is your superpower? What's your strength? Who do you serve at the highest level? Because then you can speak to them in your marketing. You can speak to and project and focus on them, and you'll be attracting the people that you do best with.
I've tried that with Laura for many years, still not working. Still not working.
Hey,
She's
you're
not gonna say a
persistent.
word about it.
You're persistent though.
That is true.
Okay, another quick story. So there was an old ship. Never been out on a voyage before. It was at dock. They're getting ready to go. Hundreds of people loaded on. Captain was really nervous because he went to start the engine, and guess what happened?
Wouldn't start.
Wouldn't start. Now this is, the long back days. You couldn't just click a button and refund people's money. So he's thinking like the only option is getting this engine working. We have to depart. We have to go. So his mechanics on board try everything they can. They can't figure it out. And one of them says, there's an old timer on shore that he actually does really well with these. And the captain said, I don't care what it takes, get in here. We gotta go. The old guy comes in, assesses the situation, looks over the engine, and he pulls out a hammer. And he goes over to one spot on the engine, he smacks it one time with the hammer, and guess what happens? The engine comes to life. And the captain's just elated. He's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. When you get out of here, we gotta go. So he leaves. Well, they do their whole voyage, they come back, and there's a bill that shows up from this old timer. And it's $10,000. And the captain's like, you've got to be kidding me. The guy was here for like 30 seconds. He hit my engine with a hammer one time, and he wants $10,000. He's like, no, have him itemize it. He's like, well, I'll get him now. Old timer's like, all right, no problem. So he sends an invoice, and it says, tapping with the hammer, $2. Knowing where to tap, $9,940. Here's what I want you to write down. You're going to face the cost conversation this year and next. And what I want you to understand is that cost is only an issue in the absence of value. This is why I just told you it is imperative that you understand what is your superpower. What do you do different and better than any of your competitors? Because people won't nickel and dime you on cost if they see tremendous value. If your value statement for your business is I'm with RE/MAX, that's not a value proposition. That's a physical location. Your value proposition is yours. It can borrow some of the RE/MAX stuff. That can be a part of it, but you are different than the RE/MAX agent sitting next to you. What is it that you do different? That's how we're going to avoid these cost conversations. That's why when this whole clear cooperation thing and then the commission whole shakedown that happened and all the things that are happening, that's why I never once got nervous, because this company is filled with agents who deliver a ton of value. And that's proven in the fact of how many consumers work with you all. The point though is we have to get very good, very intentional, and be very quick at delivering that value and being able to convey it. What's that?
We have a situation.
Yeah.
Vivian, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for coming. So yeah,
Is your phone here?
Don, your phone.
Don, Vivian?
Have a situation.
Yeah.
A neighbor,
Okay.
who's obviously living
Okay.
across the street from her.
Okay.
You know them talking about this, do you?
Sure.
A discount broker comes up. Tell you what I'll do. I'll take 1%, give the buyer's agent 2%. Now, discount broker,
Okay.
probably half-ass service.
Yep.
She's not gonna take 3%. So she's gotta show her value,
Yep.
which is immense.
Yep.
So how would you handle it?
Okay, so I can go through one thing that Floyd Wickman taught me a long time ago, but it cannot leave this room because it talks about a certain percentage, and that is a no-no, and legal already thinks I'm going to get us all sued. Are we okay with that?
Yes.
So I did not say a number if I'm going to share this example, but legitimately, as we had to battle this too, there was assist to sell was big when I was first starting.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So this is what he taught us on how to deal with them. So it's called the $6 close. Has anybody heard this before? $6 close. So he would train us. Now, that 6 correlates to no specific percentage. You charge what you choose to charge. I did not say a specific percentage, if legal's listening. But he would have us bring 6 $1 bills in our pocket. And so as we're doing our listing presentation, we would go over all items of value. Here's what you get when you list with me, right? here's the marketing, here's all the stuff, like boom, 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 boom. We convey the whole thing. And we're going through the whole process, watching them, like seeing that they're connecting with what I'm saying, like, okay, I see value in that. And so after we get done with that, you take the $6 bills out and you say, okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Seller, are we ready to get started? And let's say in this case they say, you know what, I know Billy Bob would said he would do it for less. Great. Yeah, because we're in Tennessee.
We were.
Yeah. So I'm going to take it out and I say, great, I can appreciate that. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? We could just talk about that. And what are they going to say every time? Sure, no problem, go ahead. Okay, great. So I want to just explain something to you, and I'm going to have a few questions. They say, great. I'm going to say, okay, so the way this works in the MLS, because the way I work is like I want every agent in this MLS to have a chance to sell your property. As part of what you're hiring me to do is to help position you to get the most amount of money, in the least amount of time, and the least amount of hassle. That is what you want, isn't it? That's a tie down. They say, yes, great. So that's being said, I'm going to take these $3 bills. See these three? They say, yep. I crumple them up, throw them on the floor. I said, well, that's what I offer to the other agents, to bring them in, to bring their buyers, because I want them to come sell the house for us. Okay. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, then I'm left with these three. We'll see this one right here. See Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this one, crumple it up, throw it on the floor. That goes to my broker and my brand, because there's a cost to doing business, and it costs to operate and make us the #1 brand in real estate, which is one of the reasons I'm sitting in front of you today, is because you want to work with the best, don't you? Yes. That one's gone. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've got 2 left. So see, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, based on all the stuff we just talked about, one of these, crumple it up, throw on the floor, is what makes all of the stuff I just told you possible. That's my marketing, that's my open houses, that's the pay-per-click lead generation, whatever you do. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, all I got left is this one. And this one is what I feed my family with. This one is what I make on this entire thing. This is the one I can't negotiate on. Fold it up, put it in your pocket. So which of the other 5 would you like me to take off to? I'm okay with whatever you want me to pay the other agents less. That's your prerogative. I wouldn't recommend it, but I can. You want me to not do the marketing for it? Okay. Like, you tell me, which of these 5 would you like me to not do? I never one time had a problem with a discount. I'm not saying it's going to work every time. But that solved my problem, because again, visual, adult learners are visual. It connected the value. What are they willing to give up? Because everything comes at a cost. If they go with a discount broker, they're not going to do the same marketing. They're not going to have the same offering to the other agents, right? They're not going to have all that out there. Plus, if you look on Mac Center, there's lots of studies, and even in some of the listing presentations, and NAR has this as well, that they actually net more listing with a full-service broker than they do with a discount.
And that is true.
Correct. So, lots of ways to handle it. That was the way I was taught when we were dealing with that company that, I don't even know if they're around anymore, but it was up and then down. But we had to deal with that as well. But I've got to connect the value with what they want, their eventual outcome, right? So again, it starts by where do they want to go, what do they want to accomplish, by when do they want to accomplish it, and I sell my value, and then I let them make the choice of what do you want over here that me not, because Billy Bob's not going to do these things.
Times are tough for Ron, but do you have $6? Sure give it back depending on what the lady pays.
Okay. So here's what we're going to do.
Oh my gosh, there's that break thing again.
We're going to do a break.
Oh.
Can we do a quick break?
Absolutely. I'm gonna turn the air down so it'll be loud for a minute,
Yeah.
if we can let the room cool off. And then we've ordered melon mushroom pizza for lunch, so.
Nice.
Pizza for lunch.
So we're not done yet. Here's what we're going to do after the break. So how long of a break do you want to take, Kim?
You're the boss.
You want to do 10 minutes?
Perfect.
Okay, so we're going to do a 10-minute break. Once we come back, we're going to group up and we're going to mastermind on some practical strategies we can use to go get more listings and close more buyers. All right?